Well, hello, hello. It's Danielle here, and I decided I'd try something new, which is if I get a nudge to create a video for you that I sit down and record something and see what comes out. So I'm going to be every so often, if I'm getting that nudge, sitting down and allowing myself to just open up to receiving whatever message my guides has for you. So I'm going to try that today. If you are not familiar with this, most of you are, but if you're not, I have been working with a team of spiritual guides called the United Ones. And the focus is really generally about coming back to yourself. And it's really about healing yourself, finding the areas within that still have yet to be healed, and being guided through the process of really coming back to the true self that you are. I call it self with a capital S. And that's that higher self, that part of you that you can embody in you, remembering how incredibly powerful and loving and amazing you really are as your nature. So that's a big part of what I'm up to on an individual basis. And my guides is to help you remember and to come back to that. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here and allow my guides to come through, and we'll just see what they have to say. Hello, beautiful ones. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here with you today. What a joyous day. What a joyous occasion. This particular time and space in which you find yourself here is the perfect and right time, as you have been guided to our message for a reason. So trusting in that you have been guided here, and it has been by your higher selves, and you trusted that, and you followed through, and you listened and took action upon that. That is how you begin to work in harmony with that larger aspect of self that is already tuned into the truth of who you are and is holding the vibration of who you truly are. So beginning to understand that you have this ability to work with another part of yourself, as Danielle likes to say, self with a capital S, this part of yourself that is one with Source, has not forgotten its oneness with Source, is already a part of that experience, experiencing oneness with Source, has not ever left Source, stays connected to that so that you always have a connection. And that is vitally important, because if you don't understand that you always have a connection via this higher self, then you oftentimes think that you are alone. You are never alone, but you certainly can think you're alone. And from those thoughts, you can feel alone. But it is simply thoughts, beliefs, and thoughts which create the emotion of feeling alone. It is not the truth. It has never been the truth, even though there were moments in which you experienced being by yourself. You have never truly been by yourself. You have simply chosen to create a lifetime and an experience of feeling separate from the source that you are, and the source that you are that is one with the source of all. And it can be confusing because you see those things as separate, and really they are one. So beginning to understand that you are one with Source. You are not separate from. You are one with that which has created the universe, that which is the source of all love, all joy, all peace, all knowing. You are one with that and have access to that at any point in time. The reason why we share that is right now, many of you are experiencing separation in your world as you look out at the world around you. You listen to your news, or you go on your social media, or you go to other places that are outside of yourself, and you have this belief that this stuff is happening to you, that the world is messed up or it's going in the wrong direction. Many of you have some fear about the direction which your planet is going right now, about the future, your future, the future for other generations, and the future for yourself. And so what we want to remind you is all that you see outside is a reflection of the inside. So if you're experiencing a lot of stress, anxiety, worry, or even frustration at what you're seeing right now, recognize that this is you choosing to put your attention on the things that create frustration, choosing to put your attention on the things that create stress and anxiety. Where is your source of control? It's not out there. You cannot change what you're seeing. It's always within you. So if you can remember that the source of your power is always within you, and how you choose to look at things, how you choose to think about things, and what you choose to feel, you can remember that where change occurs is always within you. And the world begins to reflect the changes within you if you stay consistent enough where that becomes your new vibration, that becomes your new frequency, that becomes your new state of mind. So we want to remind you of that, that you have the power of control, and that control is where you choose to put your attention. And the world is chaotic right now for the very sake that your world is going through a massive transition. And this is a good transition, is very necessary. You can think of it as like cleaning the house. There's a lot of dust that's been hiding under the rug. It's time to do that major spring cleaning where you're picking up the rug and you're sweeping the dust bunnies out, and you're lifting up the couches and you're finding the dust bunnies under there. That is very much what you see occurring in your world right now. And it doesn't mean that the world is headed for disaster. It means that the things that have been hiding, that are no longer desired on the planet, are coming forward for the planet to choose differently, for you to choose differently. So we do invite you to, first of all, focus on your own center of gravity. Come back to yourselves over and over again. And so if that means you need to shut off the news, and it means you need to shut off your social media, please do so. Because first and foremost, you becoming a center of peace is of primary concern. Meaning, if you can maintain a state of peace, you are able to handle things that are going on in your life so much more fluidly. And you also become a refuge for other people as you work on centering your own selves within the construct of a crazy and chaotic world. So finding your center, that is first and foremost the most important. And if that means you're shutting off the news and the social media for weeks and months on end, please do so. The number one goal is learning to find your center. The second thing we recommend is that you recognize that you cannot change the world without changing your own minds. So it's really important to understand that, again, the world, what you see of the world, is based off of your belief system. So the world you see is not the same as the person next to you or the other people in your household. You are seeing a very different snapshot, for good or for bad, of the world. And your thought systems, your belief systems, impact the world at large. Because if everybody, for example, on your planet, which many are fear-based, when something bad or catastrophic happens, everybody pours their fear, their worry, their concern into that situation. What we are inviting people to do is, yes, have compassion, but to also recognize that pouring worry and fear and frustration and anger into any situation does not help it. It actually exacerbates it. So emotions equals energy. And every emotion has a different frequency to it. And if you're allowing yourself to be in a low frequency emotion and staying there often, you are not helping the problem. You're actually feeding the problem with those low energy thoughts, those low frequency thoughts. So, how do you do the most good for the planet? You begin to work with your own mind. As you begin to work with your own mind, you can begin to make new choices about how you react to the different circumstances in your life and in the world. Many of you are already aware of this. You're already starting to do that work, and we are so proud of you for beginning to do that. The next piece of this, though, is to go deeper in your studies. This is one of the reasons why we do recommend A Course in Miracles, because many of you have already done the preliminary work that is necessary and has made you ready for A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles is a deeper dive into understanding how your mind works and how it has deliberately been programmed with fear-based thinking. For example, the fear of death. Death is an illusion, but your world has become so geared to believing that death is real that you begin to see evidence of death all around you. Well, so-and-so died, and so-and-so died. And if so, of course, death is real. But what you must remember is the world that you live in is holographic. It is an illusion that's based off of your own thoughts. Some of you are more aware of this, and some of you are less aware of this. But this is an important thing to become aware of because it helps you understand why your thoughts influence the world around you. You can have a very different experience of this world than your neighbor because you are actually affecting the reality you see based off of your thoughts. You're bending reality. And the important part to realize is if you have a belief in death, and your neighbor has a belief in death, and the other neighbor has a belief in death, and the next neighbor has a belief in death, then that becomes the dominant way of thinking on your planet. And then it becomes the dominant experience on your planet. You might be familiar with old scripture that talked about people living hundreds of years. You might be familiar with old tablets like the King's List from Egypt, where people lived for thousands of years. So just because your experience as of yet has been that people only live up to 100 years or so, doesn't mean that that always has to be your reality. Because remember, your thoughts are influencing your reality, the reality you experience. So we are inviting you to begin to retrain your minds. Your neighbors have all been trained this way. Your family and friends have all been trained this way. So don't look to them to help you. You must do this work for yourself. And so how do you do that? Well, you look to teachers, ascended masters who have learned to see above and beyond the illusion. The illusion is the world that you're in, the physical, tangible reality that is influenced by your thoughts, by your beliefs. They knew that the world was a reflection of your beliefs. And so A Course in Miracles was designed by Yeshua, Jesus, to help you understand how you can begin to let go of the illusion so that you can co-create a different experience of heaven on earth. Because heaven on earth is an experience of recognizing that you can bring concepts from the divine into your physical experience of reality by changing your minds. And so we invite you to utilize this text to begin to deconstruct the old programming that you have spent your entire lives believing, and to begin to question that which you've been taught by your well-meaning neighbors and friends and family who just didn't know anything different. They too have been programmed to believe in fear and death. And so when you recognize that everything comes from love, and love is indestructible, and you come from love, you begin to understand the impossibility of death, that death is actually just an illusion. You can shed your body much like a insect sheds the skin of their old body. You can simply shed it and you can heal it. There's many things that you can do when you realize that you are not your body and that your body is just an extension, an expression of what your spiritual self came here to experience. So recognizing that you are spirit first, having a temporary physical experience can help you understand that the temporary physical experience is what you chose in this moment, but can also be influenced when you remember the spiritual side of yourselves. So with that, we invite you to take some time to explore A Course in Miracles and other associated works. We say other associated works because there are people who have read A Course in Miracles and have created an easier understanding or interpretation of A Course in Miracles, though we want to say it does not replace it. Because A Course in Miracles is the mind training program, or unprogramming in many ways, program to deconstruct the old fear-based thinking. And then, but the new materials can help you understand it better. So Marianne Williamson's work, A Return to Love, is a great example of how reading her book can help you better understand the content of A Course in Miracles and prepare your mind to receive the messages, but it cannot replace it. So we do want to remind you that, yes, feel free to use other materials to help you work towards understanding A Course in Miracles, but with the intention that you can start to understand A Course in Miracles enough where you can start to go through it. It takes a lifetime, or we should say, it took a lifetime for you to create the belief systems and the programs that you have now. So understand that reading A Course in Miracles once is not going to deconstruct a lifetime of incorrect understandings, we will say. Beliefs in fear and death and all that's associated with that will not be deconstructed in a year's time. It will take multiple years of repetition for you to begin to notice where the old programs are still running so that you can begin to replace them one by one by one by one. And as you do so, your realities are going to shift and change. You're going to see improved external outcomes. As you change within, the external reality that you experience will get better and better, because you will be able to get to states of greater peace, greater joy, greater freedom internally, and the world will become a reflection for that. So again, we live in an inside-out world. You must do the inner work first in order to experience that on the external side of things. There are people on your planet who've already figured this out and are already having a vastly different experience of the earthly realm than you are. And there are many who are in the process of ascending to a much higher vibrational experience of your planet. And many of you have already experienced days of that as well. as proof for you to see as you improve your mental and emotional state and continue to let go of beliefs that are not in alignment with your highest self, which, by the way, your higher self does not have any beliefs at all. But there are some beliefs that are more in alignment and some that are way out of alignment. As you let go of the old belief systems, you will begin to see a shift. And that shift will create a whole new experience of your life on this earth for so long as you choose to stick around in the physical form. So with that said, we want to wrap up here and just share with you what we're up to. We often will be speaking to you and not necessarily delve into A Course in Miracles. We may be working with you on some of the other internal work you need to do. Sometimes it's inner child work, recognizing where you created a belief at a young age and the emotional imprint or trauma that got associated with it so that you can release and let it go. So there are many things that we can do to assist you in raising your vibration, as they say, raising your frequency, so that you begin to have a different experience of your world. But this is not to replace the Course in Miracles work. This is in addition to. So we just want to go on the record in saying that. If you would like to experience those, then being on the calls, the Course in Miracle online calls, and then also the live activation calls, we will be coming in more often to bring messages specifically for you. If you're on the call, and we can answer any questions that are coming up or any awarenesses that are arising in that moment that are ready to be released and let go. So we invite you to be a part of those calls. We would love to see you there. And we trust to know that you will be attracted to the perfect and right ones for you. And we trust to know that you'll be attracted to the perfect and right books for you as well. So you've already made it this far. We want to say well done, because it has taken a lot for you to get here. And we just want to support you even further in your spiritual and personal growth so that you can experience more of heaven on earth. Thank you for letting us connect with you today. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. And if you do have questions, feel free to drop them into the school platform. Thank you so much and have a blessed week.